Right guys, welcome to tonight's late night agenda, Arsenal versus Liverpool match review. Sorry it's a late one, but as I did tell you guys, I was out with the wife tonight at a show, so I'm late back. The first thing I did was jump straight on. You guys know, when you see me wearing earphones, you know what the story is. I'm not on my own. I'm joined by Connor for this one. Connor, how are you?
I'm tickety-boo, as you say.
Tickety fucking boo indeed. Look, buddy, we'll wait for the chat to fill up. I see Kenzu's in, Ben is in as well, a few other people joining us. But on the whole, if I was to say to you at the start of the season, Connor, do you know what, a point away at Arsenal isn't the worst result in the world? You'd probably have agreed with me, but with the start of the season that we're after having, it feels like any slip up of points is a massive kick in the balls.
Yeah, it's true, but you have to take into account that Arsenal have been doing well too. Like, it's not like they've been shite this season. Like, they have been good, and like they were very good today. Like they probably were the better team today, to be fair. So like, yeah, a point isn't too bad, but like, we had the opportunity, we probably should have won it.
If you look at it this way, we've played 4 of our top 6 rivals at this point. We've played Spurs away, we've played Chelsea away, we've played Arsenal away and Manchester City at home. So out of the first 11 games, you've got 4 very difficult games out of the way, 3 of them away from home, and we're still unbeaten. I mean, that's a positive that I'd like to take from this situation anyway.
That's just it. Like, we're doing very well. Like, not playing that well, but getting the results. Like, when we do finally click, it's going to be great.
A few more people have joined the chat. Mr. RJC, Bravo Shooter 213, Farrell, J Kismet, Louise. How are you guys? Trent's fault, according to Bravo Shooter, for the goal. Do you know what? Looking at the goal, and I'm talking about the Arsenal goal, and we'll go back over the game in a bit more detail. But do you know what? Sometimes you can ask questions of the goalkeeper. Should he have come out, whatever, but fair play to Lacazette, Connor. It was a very, very good finish.
Yeah, like, he could probably put a bit of blame on Alisson, to be fair, coming out, but then again, like,
oh, he could have, yeah, absolutely.
This is a fantastic finish, like, because I don't think he could have done too much better there. Like, he took a chance, didn't work, and it's a good finish. Enough said, really.
9 times out of 10, what happens there is the goalkeeper comes out, hooshes him out of play, goalkeeper gets back into position, shot is blocked, or another player gets in to turn over possession for Liverpool. So, yes, some blame maybe towards Alisson, but definitely some praise towards Lacazette for a very accomplished finish.
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't slay him for it, but I'm sure he'll probably think twice next time he does that.
It's very rare that I get to come on here and talk about a shitty refereeing performance or a shitty refereeing decision and it having cost Liverpool. Usually we're talking about these games where Liverpool have won, so we're happy to just point it out. But the Mane goal, or disallowed goal should I say, folks, I think this is what drives most of us mad about the offside rule, Connor. In the olden days, we would have had no problem. That had been ruled offside. With the rules where they used to be, once the ball was played, whether you're active or not, Mane was offside. But the way the rules are and the way they should be interpreted is, Mane didn't touch the ball in the first phase. Firmino did. He had a shot that struck the post. And when he struck that shot, Mane was behind him. So technically in an onside position for the second phase. Therefore, the goal should have stood.
Yeah, because the linesman hadn't put his flag up until the ball came back out, so he'd obviously, like you said, he hadn't flagged it for the first phase, which technically was offside or would have been offside. But then when he came back out, like you said, he's not offside, and it's just, we need VAR really, don't we?
Yeah, this is what drives people mad. It's absolute lunacy that was given, and we're sitting here again. And look, as you said, you don't want to be bitter about a point because Arsenal played very well. And we're not talking about a game here that we clearly won or we were robbed, but this is a decision. And we've had a few that went for us this season. Let's not, jump off a cliff here and be unfair about it. The goal at West Ham was one. A couple of handball incidents I think we've gotten away with as well. But you have to say, Connor, we've called out linesmen, we've called out officials for poor decisions when we've won. I think it's only fair we do it here. That was a goal. That should have stood.
Yeah, everyone said it. Like, they had... I can't think of his name, but they had like ex-referees on the TV looking at it, and they all just agreed that it should have stood. Like it's easy to select the linesman, but the ball was moving so quickly, he didn't really get time to move up in line. But still, if you're just guessing, then, which is wrong, really. That's why we kind of need to bring in the video ref. It just makes sense, like.
What makes me really frustrated about this situation is, I guarantee you, he's not flagging because he thinks he's offside when Firmino hits the ball. I guarantee you he's flagging for the original decision. And he's in his head, he's trying to interpret that as the same phase of play. I'm 99% sure of that. Whatever he comes out afterwards and says, or whatever he says to his assessors, I know that was a heat of the moment reaction, and he felt that Mane was offside because the ball was still in the same phase.
I think I disagree, to be honest. I think he would have flagged earlier if he thought that.
He can't flag till Mane touches the ball.
Do they not usually flag when they're just anywhere near the ball at all, no?
No, they don't flag until he touches the ball. It's one of my biggest bugbears about that offside decision, because I've seen players, you know, obviously offside, but they wait and wait and wait and wait. I've seen players then fouled by a defender. I've seen players pull up with injury while waiting for this offside flag that, as you rightly said, could have came straight away. Look, I want to read a few comments out and see what other people are feeling about it. Don't want to sound bitter, because a point was a fair result on the reflection of the game, but it is a decision that should have went their way. What else have we got? We need VAR, said Everything Shane. Louis has joined the chat. How are you? I think we're really looking for this team to mimic the domination we see City is having. To what degree this domination exists can be debated for sure, said Far Isle. It is tough, Connor, isn't it? Because you know every minor slip up at this point, every point dropped is massive.
Yeah, when you have a team like City, like what did they drop last year? Like 14 points the whole season. It's ridiculous. Like, and we're after dropping 6 so far, like in 10 games. So, but you can't really compare yourself to City the whole time though, because it's drive yourself mad. Like but then again, it's ridiculously hard not to. But like we said, a draw away isn't a bad result, but it's still hard to just drop points. It's hard to deal with that still when you know City probably aren't going to drop too many.
The way I've been trying to judge things lately, and I know I'm wrong in doing this, but I've been trying to say to myself, would Manchester City go to Arsenal and get a win? In my head, like when I looked at the Spurs game, I just knew that Manchester City were going to get there and get a result. So for us, if we're going to try and compete at the highest level, try and wrestle this title away from Manchester City, in our heads, or in my head anyway, we should have been going there tonight and leaving with 3 points.
Yeah, when you think of City going there, you probably would expect them to win, to be honest. And like, if we're going to challenge, these are the games we should be winning, really. But it's too early to rule us out, though, I think.
It's far too early for that. Don't get me wrong. I'm in no way ruling us out of it. I mean, these aren't
I've
bad
seen a lot
results.
of people saying that. I've seen a lot of people on Twitter saying, "Oh, this isn't a title-win team and all this shit." Look, what, 10 games in? It's a long fucking season. Like, just wait.
Let's look at it another way. Weren't we 2 points clear of Manchester City at one point? If memory serves me correct, they had drawn and we were on a winning streak. I think we were 2 points clear of Manchester City. Then we drew, they drew, and the points started tallying back up. So it's one draw. That's the only thing. And don't forget, they have a derby against the Manchester United. The Red have Manchester coming up pretty soon. Is it next week? I think, isn't it?
Next week, yeah. So if we beat Fulham and they draw there, we're back level again. Like it's not to get too stressed over. Like it's not a big gap. Like
no, all that's done today is probably allow Chelsea back in to push up the table there and take us on goal difference. I think perhaps, but I think they were 1 ahead of us in goal difference. But I'm somebody who keeps saying don't worry about goal difference. It is tough. I'm going to read out some more people's comments. It's tough to know what the level should be. I mean, it's easy for us to sit here and say 11 games in, 27 points, is that right? I haven't had a chance to actually look at the table since. I think it's 27 points.
Is it? I'll have a look there.
I think I'm 99% sure. 11 games in, 27 points.
No, we've had 3 draws, haven't we?
Yeah.
So that'll be 6 points dropped from 30 points. So it'll be 24, is it?
No, 33 points because of 11 games. Yes, so 27.
27, yeah. See, 26, Chelsea 24.
Farrell said it doesn't help the teams face City. They feel like the 3 or 4 beaten before they even take the pitch. Or Mr. RJC said they drew against Wolves, so if we beat Wolves and they draw again, we're level. Sorry, Craig, I'm going to sleep now. No worries, Ben, mate. This was a late one. I just wanted to try and come on and give a bit of a reaction to the game because, as I said, I couldn't do the watch along today. Sorry about that one. But do you know what? In the grand scheme of things, I think when we look back on this, Connor, a point away to Arsenal is not the end of the world, and there's always going to be some people that over top reactions. But to be fair, it's not like we battered them and didn't get away with it, or we missed a shit ton of chances today and we're by clearly the better team. A draw was probably a fair result.
Yeah, we had a good few chances, but like so did they. Like that could have easily been 3-all, 4-all, or could have been 4-1 to either team. But it could go anyway. Like so, yeah, I'd say draw is probably fair enough.
If I'm being honest, and I see Paul Tokens, or is it Paul? Oh, excuse me, Tolkien. Again, trying to pronounce your surname, mate. I'm sorry, you've told me just to call you Paul before, so I'm going to stick with Paul. Paul said it's 2 points drop, mate. Let's face it, our midfield should be doing much better. It's our Achilles heel at the moment. Hope it doesn't cost us in the long run. We need more creativity. I've got to say, if I'm looking at that team, 11 versus 11, I'm looking at the names on the team sheet and how I feel about Liverpool and their position at this moment in time, I've got to say I would look at this as 2 points dropped in the grand scheme of things because I feel we're good enough to win. Based on the performances that went in today, we certainly didn't deserve to leave there with 3 points, in my opinion.
Yeah, we could have got a bit lucky and gone, but probably didn't actually deserve it, to be honest.
Louis said DT is chatting shit. That's all he does. I've said this before. He's just a wannabe rude boy. Just ignore that fucking clown.
He also said he's a nonce, which is fairly true.
Who said he was a nonce? Oh, Louis. I was thinking you were saying to me, I also said he was a nonce, and I was like, that's definitely not a word I was using. But look, if you want to call him a nonce, that's down to you completely. I just don't like the guy. I've said this to Connor off. I just don't like the guy. I don't like that channel. I don't like what the channel's about. Don't like the way it portrays their own fan base. I think they're making money off the back of embarrassing their own fan base. And I find it pretty disgusting, if I'm being honest. But look, all power to them. If people are stupid enough to keep watching, ringing in, and taking part in it, embarrassing their own fucking fan base with that gobshite, then who am I to say otherwise? We're still unbeaten, said Louise Seaman, which is correct. We are absolutely still unbeaten, Connor. 11 games into the season. Has there been a season where 2 teams have been unbeaten after 11 games?
3 teams.
3? Who's the third?
Chelsea.
Oh yes, Chelsea. Sure, I keep thinking they lost to United. They didn't. They got that equaliser right at the end. Yeah, 3 teams. That's fucking ridiculous.
I think it's the first time ever, yeah, this far this season.
I think it's also, if memory serves me correct, this is our best ever start to a Premier League season or to a league campaign. I remember all we had, if I read an article last week that said all we had to do was basically not lose this weekend and we would break our points total for 11 games or something like that, our record points total.
Jesus. We don't usually start well though, so it probably makes sense really.
Brian Morrissey made an excellent point here. He said the result is purely psychological. A win would have been huge for us. It is true. I have to agree with Jurgen Klopp in the way he looks at this though. Maybe as fans we have to look at it this way as well. Let's stop playing Manchester City's games in our heads. I know it's easy to just glance at the league table. We're going to do it. But we have to just concentrate on Liverpool. And at the start of the season, did we all think we were going for a title challenge, Connor? Did you think, honestly, hand on heart, mate, that this Liverpool team were going for a title challenge, or were you hoping to see us just narrow down that points gap on Manchester City?
I was always expecting this challenge. I think we have the squad there, and like we spent the money, we should be challenging. I wouldn't expect us to actually win it, but I expect us to be up there at least.
I think that's a very fair way of looking at things. We can no longer hide behind the argument that we can't compete. That the manager hasn't been back, the manager hasn't been given the funds to go and buy the players we want. He clearly has. This summer Liverpool spent a lot of money. So yes, our squad is deep enough that we should be competing. How unlucky is it though that we're just at a period of time where we have probably, is it fair to say, the best team that's ever taken part in the Premier League? Is that fair to say about this Manchester City team? Possibly. They broke records.
They're close anyway.
Well, they've broken records for the best season. The first team to break 100 points. There's been some excellent sides. The Arsenal Invincible season, which I don't think actually comes close to Manchester City's last year. I know people are going to...
They drew a lot of games, didn't they?
Yeah, exactly.
They did like 14 games last season.
At the end of the day, yes, it was an unbeaten season by Arsenal, but I still hold the Manchester City season last year in higher esteem, but I hate both clubs, so fuck them both. Jay said, barely conscious, hello to everybody. Frustrating game and result. Another game where we've not reached our level. With that in mind, a point is a decent result. However, the additional frustration is that everything is now judged against Manchester City, which is a phenomenal standard. One point Jay's touched on there, Connor, and I suppose we have to address this, is when are we going to be at our best? We haven't yet been at our best this season.
What worries me is like, what if this is our best? What if our levels just dropped? But like, you'd have to think it's not, like, with the improvements in personnel we brought in, like.
let's be honest. Let's call a spade here. When we say we're not at our best, we're really talking about our attacking form. We're really talking about the front three and perhaps a creative midfielder, because we cannot be talking about the defence, because they're pulling rabbits out of hats every week.
They've been top notch. But like
exactly.
You see,
so what we're really saying here is that our attack isn't as good as it was last year.
Who did we beat a few weeks ago? 4-0, Red Star, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like that was probably our only good game, let's say. Even the opener against West Ham was 4-0 as well. Like, I don't think we even played that well that day.
I've got to be honest, I got a little bit carried away by that Red Star result. I was somebody that did get a little bit carried away. I thought that we were back. I thought that that was going to be the start of something. Always knew Arsenal away was never going to be an easy game, but hand on heart, I expected us to go there today and leave with 3 points.
Yeah, it's a bit disappointing, but sure, move on. Get 3 points next week instead.
Junior said Bobby was anonymous today. I actually still don't think anybody has. I don't know what that means. Craig, you know what made me laugh today? All the Hendo haters came out their hiding holes, wishing he was there. Fabinho's performance. Footballing fans are fickle. Sorry, but to put this out there again, said the Revenant. Look, football fans are fickle, mate. There's no debate about that, and I include myself in that. I'm a fickle. I'm a fucking hypocrite. We all are. Let's be honest. We all are. Our mood changes, but you're right. The Jordan Henderson haters need to sometimes realise that he is a very, very good footballer. We've had that discussion during the week. Fabinho, it's going to take him time to settle. We've got to be honest about this as well, Connor. This is only his third real start for Liverpool in a league, not even in a league game. Actually, just his third competitive start for Liverpool Football Club.
Yeah, people seem to forget that. Like, everyone's seen him play so well against Red Star and just assumed to be like that every game. But it just takes time. Just let the lad settle in. He'll be good in a few weeks, probably.
Stephen Kelly said, that's classic. Liverpool could only be top with 2 other unbeaten teams. I really think we're jinxed with winning the Premier League. Mate, sometimes I feel the same way. But then I just say to myself, do you know what? Somebody has to fucking win it every season. And if we want to prove we're the best of the best, then we've got to go and do it. We've got to grind it out. I still think Manchester City are going to hit a patch. Will it be now with Kevin De Bruyne out again for another 5 or 6 weeks? They've shown previously that they're more than capable of doing without Kevin De Bruyne, but there is some trickier games coming up for them. I got to be honest and say, Conor, I don't know exactly who Manchester City have played at the start of this season. Obviously played us away, played Spurs away.
Played Arsenal, I think, second game.
Yeah, so I think that they've had 3 fairly decent games as well, to be fair. And they're 2 points clear of us if they win tomorrow. It's just 2 points. Any other league campaign, any other season, we would be thinking 2 points is nothing.
That's it. Like, I think everyone's just thinking of City last year with 100 points, but like the chances of them replicating that is very low, I think. Especially now since you're going to be concentrating on the Champions League if they don't get kicked out of it.
Oh, that's a whole other conversation, and I'm still delving through and looking through all those papers and trying to read as much as I can on that. I'm still baffled by what the fuck is going on there, so we'll park that to one side. Jay Kismet said, all these guys lack humility and are focusing on their own little agendas, hence why they need to talk rubbish and be disrespectful when being on fan TV, because it draws attention that they need. That is true. Everybody wants, I suppose, kind of that little 15 minutes or that little 5 minutes of fame, but they can say, look, I was on here. Sure, many times do you see people say appeared on, when they're talking about a specific channel, on their bio?
Yeah, you always see it. Just everyone looking for that. It's attention seeking, really, isn't it?
It really is. Like, it's...
I can understand it, like, but yeah, it's just attention seeking, really.
What else we got? Jay said, you're both right. In our attack, it's not clicking, plus the absence of creative spark and our drive that was initially generated by Coutinho and lately by Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. I suppose in that sense, Jace and Connor, Liverpool are kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place with what they do. It's no secret that in the summer we looked at bringing in Fekir. Look, it's not even a secret, it's more like it was nearly done. But at this point, Connor, with Shaqiri coming in and having played fairly well so far for us, it's very promising, probably better than I was expecting, to be honest. And we've Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain still to come back. Jurgen Klopp has to look at this and go, do I wait for Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain? Do I gamble that we can get him back to the same level that he was? Or do I still need to go and address the market and bring somebody in? Because I have to be honest, I do not see it happening in January.
You don't see someone coming in?
No.
Or Fekir specifically?
Oh, Fekir, absolutely not. I'm sticking by my thought process there that if that was getting done, it was getting done in the summer.
Manuel Labor says otherwise, though, so you never know.
I don't want to go up
Um,
against Manuel. I mean, when you're talking about Mundo Sporto, you're talking about the creme de la creme.
it's just facts, like, isn't it? It's really hard to tell, isn't it? It depends. I think it depends on how Shaqiri does, to be honest. If he starts to get a run and kind of fills in that number 10 role, then I don't think we'd bring in someone. But if he doesn't, I think we probably will look to get someone, because it's looking like Hawks might be back on the next season. Like, it's a long time to wait.
I remember something Jace Roberts said the other day in a comment really got me thinking about if we will ever see Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain get back to those levels again, because it's easy for us as fans to sit here and just say, oh, player's out with a cruciate ligament, he'll be back in 6, 7, 8 months, but realistically, when you see how long he's taken out, the amount of rehab he's gone through, how bad the injury was, and couple that with previous injuries, it's going to be very, very difficult for us to have that same explosive player again. And then you have the whole thought process of, will he trust his body the same way? Will he always be playing at 85% because he fears if he pushes himself, makes that extra little turn, puts a bit of pressure on the knee, takes a chance with a drop of the shoulder, goes one way, puts his body the other way? Is he doubting himself? It's something we spoke about with Daniel Sturridge over and over and over again, Connor.
Yeah, I was just thinking, just look at Sturridge. Like, he used to be so quick, and now he's, like I said, he probably doesn't trust himself to run onto balls. Like, he's just afraid of injuring himself again. So it's very hard. But then again, you look at someone like Joe Gomez. He was out for what, like 14, 15 months or something that way, and he came back and he's just absolutely bossing it now. Like, so it could really go either way.
I suppose Joe Gomez would have a lot less miles on his body, on the clock, than somebody
That's
like
true,
Alex
yeah.
Oxlade-Chamberlain. Sometimes I think we underestimate quite what an impact being a professional athlete has on people's bodies. Like, we just look at them as running around the football field and think, sure, we all do that on a Sunday, or we all used to go down the park and play. But it's sometimes just the stop-start nature of what they do, the explosiveness of what they have to do, particularly if you're a centre-back or a striker and you have to go from a standing position to top speed in 3 or 4 steps. Like, you really do need to be in peak physical shape to do that.
Yeah, it must be tough. Like, even just like nutrition kind of side of thing and stuff that way. Like, it's even mentally, like, just trying to keep up that physique and then dealing with injuries and stuff. Like, it can't be easy.
Brian Morrissey thinks you're wrong, by the way. He said City will beat their points total. I would very much doubt that they're going to beat 100 points this season, that they'll break 100 points.
I just think they want to focus on the Champions League, to be honest. I think they'll start to slip a bit. Nothing going to drop any points. They'll probably still get like 85, 86 plus at least.
Oh, they're breaking
I can't
90.
remember,
I'd be very confident they're breaking 90, because if you think about breaking 90 points, what's maximum points total? 90, 20, 117 maximum points total. So
114, is it?
It's 8, not 9 games. You're right. Sorry, I was thinking it was fucking 19. Yeah, you're right. 39 games. It is 114 maximum points total. So for them to drop down to 90 points, talking about dropping 24 points there, that's 8 losses over the course of a season.
Yeah, or what, 12 draws. Yeah, there's a lot actually, isn't it?
If considering, especially if you look at it now, and you can include us in this conversation, by the way. You look at it now and see, well, the both are 11 games in, so heading towards 1/3 of the season out of the way in the next couple of games, and we still have 3 unbeaten teams. That's the level we're playing at here. That's how high the stakes are for this league challenge.
Yeah, I'd love to be a neutral now. Say it'd be class to look at from a neutral point of view.
Oh, the likes of Sky and BT must be rubbing their fucking hands together. The outlets that have paid for this football, and it is good for the league in general. Nobody wants to see a situation like what happens in Spain, Germany, Italy, where Juventus are winning it every year, Real Madrid or Barca are winning it every year. How long has it been since we had a genuine, real race for the Premier League title?
Leicester Spurs was all one really.
Would you even call that one though? Because once Leicester went top,
they were fairly close though up until the last like 7 or 8 games. I think it was only ever like 3 or 4 points in it.
I don't think Leicester ever, once Leicester took the lead in the Premier League, did they ever like relinquish top spot? I can't remember. I think you'd probably have to go back to the Battle of Manchester, like when Aguero scored that goal.
What would you define as a chase? Like Liverpool going top, then City going top next week, and vice versa, like, or just
I
keep
suppose
them close?
anything going down to the last game or two of the season would be a real title race.
Yeah, sure. City when they won against QPR the last game.
True. You
The
could
Aguero.
almost say Liverpool in 13-14 as well.
Yeah, that was still open at the last day, wasn't it? If we'd won and they lost, I think we still would have won it.
If I remember correctly, we were playing Newcastle. We beat them 1-0 or something, or 2-1.
I think it was 2-2. They went ahead, I think.
And we
We
had
ended
to,
up
we had then to lose and us to score like 50,000 goals or something like that to turn that one around. It was something ridiculous, but yeah, technically it was still there in the last game of the season. Gerrard or Coutinho would have won us that game, said facility time. Again, it's a very broad statement to make. Would he have? Was the problem the creativity to the forwards? We created enough opportunities to win the game if you think about it. Like, Virgil van Dijk could have scored 2 today. Very unlucky. The header
Right.
particularly off the post. The other one, do you know what? I think he did well. The keeper did well as well. Leno to come out and smother him for the one that he tried the side foot past.
There was a third chance as well. You mightn't have seen it. He got the ball, took it on his chest, and like volleyed it from like 5 or 6 yards out. The keeper got it.
That's what I'm
He
talking
could have
about.
had-
He
could have had
side foot
it.
volleys it, and Leno comes out and blocks him. That was a very good save by the goalkeeper, to be fair.
Yeah, he had a lot of chances. To be fair, still your breath still didn't come in though.
One thing I wanted to ask everybody about, and it happened at both ends, so I'm not complaining about it from a Liverpool perspective, but Van Dijk was absolutely cleaned out by the goalkeeper when he hit the post with that header. Now, at the same time, Alisson cleaned out Mkhitaryan at the other end when Mkhitaryan put that header wide. Do you think the keepers are getting away with too much there, Connor? Were they fouls?
I don't think they are, to be honest. I think they should be careful. Obviously, they don't want to cause like head injuries, but I don't think it's a foul because like my logic on it would be take the Van Dijk one for instance. Like he headed that ball and then got cleared. Like the getting hit by the keeper didn't affect his actual shot. If that
Well,
makes sense. I
let
don't
me
think
put it this
affects the
way
game.
then. If a player in the box came for the ball, didn't get it, but went through the player after the ball was gone, that's a foul.
Yeah, but why is it though? If the ball isn't near, like why is that a foul? In the laws of the game, why is that a foul? I don't really understand
That I couldn't tell you. You know, that I'd have to go through, but at the end of the day it is. Like if for instance Van Dijk was through on goal there, he hit a shot and just as he hit a shot, Mkhitaryan came through and cleaned him out. That's a penalty.
But even then again, in this game today, Mane got the ball and was run down the wing and he kicked the ball out in front of him and got taken out by Bellerin, I think. But like it wasn't a free and the commentator said it was because he wouldn't have got to the ball. So if you've already hit the ball and then get taken out of it, why is that a free and the other one isn't?
Again, you've made a good point there. One of them is because the referee may deem he didn't or wasn't going to get to the ball. Now, if the keeper comes out, gets a punch on this and ends up going through a player, I think, in my mind, it's a little bit different. Keeper
It's
didn't win
same
the
thing,
ball
like,
on either
the ball's already
occasion.
gone, like. The ball's already gone, so I don't think it should be a foul.
Well, if you're
That's what I
saying the
thought.
keeper came out and won the ball, so if Leno or Alisson had to come out there, punch those balls, and his momentum took him through the player, then you could say it was almost natural. But if you don't get there and you get fouled, even if this happens in the middle of the field, Connor, if the ball comes into the centre circle, James Milner it takes possession, takes a touch, and just as he goes to pass it, it leaves his foot, player comes in, takes him out of it, it's a free kick. It doesn't matter where the ball goes. It doesn't matter if James Milner was putting that ball into row Z. Once he gets cleaned out there, that's a free kick. And if you think of the amount of time between when the contact was made by the goalkeepers at both ends, I'm not I'm moaning about Liverpool not having a penalty here. It was so quick. The impact on the player happened as the ball was basically just going past the goalkeeper, so milliseconds. So nobody would have technically known where the ball was going yet before the keeper clattered the player.
Well, that's true, yeah. That's the problem with all this. Like people call for VAR and all, but some of these things like they're not black and white.
The problem is that the rules are being interpreted in differently in different parts of the field.
Yeah, I think that's a good way of summing it up. Like even some referees don't even understand the rules. Like they understand it different ways, which makes no sense. It's not.
I was reading an article about the handball. Like how many times do we hear commentators say his hand was in an unnatural position? I think that's something we can fairly say we've heard a lot from commentators with regards to handballs.
Yeah, like what's the definition of an unnatural position?
It doesn't exist in the rules of the game. I read through the rules of the game in an article. I can't remember what publication it was in. They were talking about this very thing.
Is it just at the discretion of the referee then?
It basically has to be hand the ball. That much is clear. But it's very broad. So they're talking at this moment in time about changing the rules. Now, sorry, I know we've gone off topic a little bit. I'm just trying to talk about the rules in general here and how they're being applied. If that had been the opposite way around, Virgil van Dijk gets there, or the keeper gets there, Virgil van Dijk then cleans the keeper out of it. Ball drops to Mane, Mane puts it into an open net. The referee is given a free kick out to the goalkeeper.
Yeah, I never thought of it actually.
It's nuts. It's absolutely crazy. It's goalkeepers get, and I'm a goalkeeper. I'm fucking part of the goalkeepers union. But goalkeepers get far too much protection. If that situation was reversed, let's say the Mkhitaryan incident, Alisson comes out, he gets a touch on the ball, but it's the other way. Mkhitaryan cleans out Alisson. That ball then falls to Aubameyang or taps it into an open net. We know damn well. The referee's given that free out, no way that goal standing. So this is why I'm just a little bit peeved as to referees interpreting the rules in different parts of the field differently. It's silly. It's one of the silly little annoying fucking things about the game. If something is a foul in the halfway line, it's a foul in the penalty area. It's a foul in the corner flag. Like jockeying players let the ball go out over the end line. How is that not obstruction? Any other part of the field, that's obstruction.
Yeah, it's a bit stupid when you think about it.
It's craziness. It's madness. It's something that really does my head in. Anyway, I want to know your opinion, guys. Me and Connor have had our little chat about it. Do you think it should have been a penalty at either end? We cannot just single out the Liverpool situation here because it was actually a fairly good balancing act at both ends. I think both teams, if we're saying it was a penalty for one, it was probably a penalty for the other. Let's be fair. But I just want to know, do you guys think that that was a penalty, or was the keeper fully entitled to come out and challenge for that ball in the way he did? Now, while we're on the subject of goalkeepers, Connor, I want to have a chat about something else that caught my attention, and it actually led to Liverpool's goal. And it's goalkeepers coming out stop crosses but palming the ball back into play. And by that I mean a player puts the ball from the side of the penalty area across the penalty box and the keeper palms it out. It led to Liverpool's goal today, and James Milner tapped it, or well, I say tapped it, struck the ball into the goal. But I also seen Alisson do it for Liverpool in the first half and got away with it because the shot was blocked. I don't like this. I don't like this one bit. Why can't they just either catch them or punch the ball into a completely different direction? Pushing the ball back into open play, into the centre, seems madness, and both keepers did it today.
Yeah, unless you can get ridiculous, like, what sort of the distance on it, like, if you can get out. But yeah, just straight into the box doesn't make sense. Like you're a goalkeeper. What kind of way what's a goalkeeper trained to do in that kind of situation? Like, is it harder to catch a ball in that? Is it easier to just punch it? And like,
I'd have tried to catch it.
If you were to punch it out to the wing, say, is that harder than to punch it out sideways? If you were trying to punch it in front of you or so.
Ball comes across the box. Punching in that position is hard. It's very hard. You're gonna palm that. If you're not catching it, you're palming it, because if you try to punch that, it can slide off the top of your gloves because it's not coming straight towards you like a shot may come. It's coming from a side angle, so you having to dive in an unnatural position for your body, really, across to your left or right hand side there. You're not punching that. Very rarely. But for me, both instances, for Leno and for Alisson Becker in the first half, I think both goalkeepers could have caught that ball.
Yeah, it's interesting. John Achterberg strikes again, do you think? Is he trying to do this?
Again, it's not. It's something I think is a bit more widespread in the game. Goalkeepers, they're playing on the front foot so much these days that a lot of the times keepers would be on their line, but these days they're almost, anything that comes across between the penalty spot and the 6-yard box, keepers are almost having a say at and coming out to try and block crosses. It's a strange phenomenon, and I think it comes down to the whole punching or catching thing. I think if a goalkeeper naturally comes out and catches crosses, or naturally comes and takes and catches corners, then he's probably catching those. But a keeper who punches naturally is palming those or trying to punch those away. And I think that will lead to more goals or more opportunities for attacking teams, because we've seen what happens. I'd much rather a keeper tries to catch that and drops 1 in 20 than does what they're doing now. I think there's a much higher percentage of probability that it falls to an opposition player who has a shot at goal.
Yeah, I'd say that's fairly accurate enough to say.
Or just stick a fucking
Yeah,
leg at it, one or the other.
when we were linked with Allison first during the summer, I didn't really know much about him, but like one of the first things I did see about him that people were saying is that he does tend to punch a lot of balls. Like even at Roma, he did that a lot. It's just his style of play, I suppose. Maybe he's not confident in his catching ability as much as punching.
But it used to be more of a continental thing. It used to be that non-UK based goalkeepers used to be punchers. Now we're seeing it happening more and more and more. It just seems to be the go-to thing for goalkeepers. Somebody's obviously sat down, looked at it and said, if a goalkeeper drops the ball that he comes for, the odds are it could drop and go into an open goal. Somebody's looked at it and said, look, get something on it with a punch. It's obviously much safer. I disagree. I was always one to try and catch the ball. I want to go to a comment here from Tony Kelly because it's caught my eye. He said, Terry from Fan Park Live was saying Salah is a small team bully because he hasn't scored against big team. Is this the same fucking clown that people were moaning about before, this Terry guy? Is he the guy that... No, I'm thinking of somebody from On the Terraces or something. Anyway, whoever he is, this Terry guy saying Salah is a small team bully is a fucking idiot. He's far from a small team bully. I hate this. I don't know who he supports. I haven't got a clue. I don't even know the channel. Never heard of them before in my life. Terry from Fan Park. I don't know who he is. I don't like Terry.
I've heard
already,
of Fan Park.
just
I
because
don't
of
know
that
Terry.
fucking
I've heard
comment.
Fan Park though. He's probably a United fan. Says Lukaku's the best things in sliced bread, and he scores like against West Brom last season. Like,
so scoring a couple in the Champions League semi-final against Roma, small team mentality, is it?
they got injured in the Champions League final. Like, that's just beta mentality, isn't it? Getting injured, like.
Absolutely. Lobbing Manchester City's goalkeeper from 35 yards out. Small team mentality, that is it?
46 goals in one season. It's just bad.
Do keepy uppies in the 6-yard box away at Porto before knocking the ball into the goal. That's a bully against small teams, Mr. Terry. If you are watching this, by the way, Terry, you're clearly a fucking idiot that has no place sharing your opinion on these type of channels if you're going to spout that type of nonsense. We all make mistakes from time to time, Terry. This is not really a dig at you, mate. But if you're going to say something like that, try and back it up with facts. I mean, I haven't even got the facts in front of me here. I'm working off memory. And I've already pulled his argument to shreds. Goals in the Champions League semi-finals. Goals against Manchester City in that victory at home when we broke Manchester City's perfect season at that time. Goals away against Porto doing keepy uppies when we slaughtered them away from home in the Champions League. Come on. And that's just off the top of my head.
Yeah, he obviously has just a reactionary thing, probably.
I think we can say there's an agenda there somewhere. Terry from Fan Park Live wants attention or something. I don't know.
An Anfield agenda.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Brian said if a defender does what the keepers did there, that's a penalty. And Junior said it was Xhaka or Granit Xhaka who took out Sadio Mane. Lots of people overreacting here, and somebody saying I wouldn't mind Suso back. There's a reason Suso was let go. The club just didn't feel he was able to cope with the rigours of the Premier League. He's doing okay, but let's be honest about this. That AC Milan team aren't fucking world beaters. Last I checked, and I could be wrong on this, but last I checked they weren't even up there in the Champions League positions. They're not a great team. So it's easier for him to look decent in that side. He's not playing at the top level, so I don't think he's good enough, to be honest, to come and make a difference at Liverpool. Alisson backs himself to get up quick and save the second ball, said Brian Morrissey. Maybe so. Maybe so, but I'm sure Leno backed himself to get up quickly and save the second ball as well. He did get up in time. If I remember, for James Milner's goal, Leno was scrambling back across when Milner hit the shot. So he was up and he had reacted, but it still didn't make a difference. Lee said,
can't expect someone to save James Milner though, can you?
No, I mean, exactly, with the power of the Ribena behind them, there's no fucking way anybody saving that. I was almost expecting when he hit that shot for a trail of purple to be just there right behind the ball as it was going into the goal. The Revanite said, yeah, I moaned about Terry before from the football terrace. He's a United fan. Well, then there you go. As Connor said, he probably thinks the sun shines out Lukaku's ass, and we are stereotyping like fuck here. We don't know the guy from Adam, and we're completely pigeonholing him right into that little Lukaku love-in. But he's talking out his arse with regards to Salah not playing against big teams. He really, really is. Even look back to his days at Roma. I think one of his best goals he scored was in a game against Juventus. So he certainly does show up for the big games. You're talking about a man here who scored a penalty with the weight of a nation on his shoulders to put Egypt through to the World Cup finals. To say he doesn't show up in the big games or on the big occasions or against the big teams, it's just nonsense. It just really is. And I don't want to give that fucking idiot any more time, because I'd rather hear from people that have somewhat of a grasp on reality. Kepa has conceded more goals than he has, and he's the world's most expensive keeper, said Tony Kelly. Again, I think both keepers can hold their heads up high. Both of those expensive goalkeepers this season, Kepa included. Chelsea are doing very well. Liverpool are doing very well. The amount of goals we've conceded are minimal. So I think, yeah, both of them can say fairly decent start to their campaigns in the Premier League.
Yeah, I'd say the first half.
Right, so looking ahead though, the impact of this game on the season before we wrap up for tonight, I don't think this is a big deal. If anything, maybe being within striking distance of Manchester City might take a little bit of pressure off. Because when you're at the top of the league, and look, this might sound silly at first, but bear with me. When we're at the top of the league with Manchester City, people start losing their shit when the goal difference starts to take an effect, and people start crying and moaning about that. Just being within that 2 points or that striking distance, I'm very happy with where we are at this moment in time. And I maintain, if you offered me 27 points after 11 games, is it 20? Yeah, 27 points after 11 games at the start of the season or in July, I'm biting your fucking hand off, Connor. I'm saying thank you very much. Yes, please. And we've got to be fair. Let's say Liverpool take 4 more points from their next 2 games. So we get a win and a draw. That puts us up to 31 points. That's exactly, well, almost, because you can't have 1/3 of a season because it's 38 games. But that's putting you on course for a 90-point season.
There's nothing in it, because, like, what did Leicester win it with? They won it with 76. But the standards has been raised so much since then.
Exactly. And I'm of the mindset like you. I think Manchester City will trip up a little bit. I mean, let's remember Pep Guardiola's team last year. They went on and had an amazing points total. Cannot argue that. But the wheels came off somewhat at one point for that Manchester City team. It just happened that when the wheels came off, they were so fucking far ahead that nobody was ever catching them. Pep Guardiola's teams often run out of steam towards the second half of a season, or don't play to the same standard as they did in the first half. That is something that goes right back to his days at Barcelona. Look at the points tallies for the first half of the season and the second half. Sometimes it doesn't matter because they go on to win the league and win it handily like they did with Manchester City. But let's be honest here, Connor, it did happen last year. They did drop a lot more points in the second half of the season, but they were just so fucking far away that it didn't make any difference.
Yeah, wasn't there a stat, something like from January to May, we were only like 2 points behind what they got, or something. Like, they weren't by any means ahead of everyone else by a lot in the second half of the season. It was just because of that, like, 14 game run they had at the start of the season. That's like the only reason they finished so far ahead. Yeah,
and Pep, as I said, Pep Guardiola teams, like maybe Jurgen Klopp teams of past. Do you remember the season, what was it, the one we played? Who was it, the last game of the season? I went to the game. We played them at home. We had to win it. It was us and Arsenal for 4th place. It was fairly recently, a couple of seasons ago, I think.
It was Middlesbrough, wasn't it? Genie scored the first goal.
Yes. We won 3-0, I think, didn't we? Yeah, so that season we just about got over the line because we were burnt out to fuck. Jurgen Klopp had worked the guys into the ground in the first half of the season. And as good as this Manchester City team are, the amount of games that they have to play, even with rotation, it will take effect on them. It just will. They are just human beings like anybody else. So they're not going to go through and just breeze everybody this season. When it comes time when they have a big Champions League game on a Wednesday and a Premier League game on a Saturday, they will drop more points. So what I'm asking for, I suppose, is everyone to just calm down, relax. We didn't get beaten today away at Cardiff or something, Connor. We didn't drop points at home to Fulham in a 1-1 draw. We went away to Arsenal, a team that are full of confidence at the minute, a team that haven't lost in, 11, 12 games, something like that now?
It's a long run then, yeah, 12 or 13 or something.
And we've got a point. And a fair point, a point that we probably just about deserved. I don't see the big issue if some people are melting down on social media. And I've got to be honest, I haven't had a chance to get onto Twitter to see how people have reacted to the game. All I
Just
did,
don't bother.
my only interactions with Twitter were to ask for people's man of the match. It was damn unanimous in Virgil van Dijk, by the way. I think it was like 95% of comments on Van Dijk, a couple for James Milner.
Nah, he was just a call above the rest. Like, he was just fantastic today. I'd say that was probably his best performance for us.
Is there anybody worried about our level of performance? Can we talk about that? I think we just skipped over it earlier on. We tried to talk about it. The fact that we're not... Our points total we can't argue with. Defensively, as Connor said earlier on, we're spot on. Cannot get much better than we're doing defensively. So, is there a worry that we're just not creating enough? And we spoke... I said it, don't think it'll be addressed, but when do we start talking about Bobby Firmino, for instance? When do we talk about him? When do we say that Firmino hasn't been the Bobby Firmino that we know and love? He is due a grace period, of course. I want to help him through this, but at the same time, nobody's infallible. There was a while back, a couple of people were talking about giving Mo Salah a break and bringing Danny Sturridge in and starting him ahead of Mo Salah. So what I'm getting at, I suppose, here, guys, is when do we start having this conversation around Bobby Firmino as much as we all love him?
It's a tricky one, like, because even Salah and Mane, they haven't been as good as they were last season. Like, in terms of output, they've been good, but just in terms of general performance, they haven't really. Like, it's the whole unit, I think, rather than individuals. Like, it'll just take it some time and they'll click and we'll just forget about it again and be back to normal, I think.
Is it the way we've set up to play, though? I spoke, and I've no stats to back this up, but I spoke a few weeks ago. I said I wonder if we're just committing less men forward in attack or in breaks. I don't know if this is something I'm just plucking out of my arse here to try and defend the forwards as to why we're not playing so well, but there has to be some reason as to why we aren't being as gung-ho in attack as we previously were. A lot of it could be down to the forwards just not clicking into position, but it has to be something to do with the way Klopp is setting us up as well, Connor.
Yeah, I think like Klopp is this kind of person. He probably has some sort of plan that we have a certain style of play up until Christmas where we, like I said, don't go all gung-ho, just attacking football, like just calmer football, I suppose, grind out results, and then just go hell for leather after Christmas for the second half of the season. I would not be surprised at all if it was just that.
SMC said, I'm worried about the front three. Ain't the same as last season and Klopp is playing them regardless. Shallow TG says, don't worry, technically now we're still top of the table, still unbeaten. Chelsea need to win, so does City, so you know we can still get a boost. Mane was decent today, said Junior. Salah, meh, but Bobby was anonymous. Bobby wasn't great in the last couple of games either, for being honest. I know we scored some goals. We love his new eye celebration and all that, but when do we start talking about maybe giving Danny Sturridge a run and giving Bobby a bit of a break? Am I being harsh? But we're dealing with the smallest of margins for error here, people. So I've spoken. Bobby Firmino is my favourite player at Liverpool. I'm not having a fucking slight dig at Bobby Firmino here. I'm just asking for what will be best for the team as a whole. I fully understand what Bobby Firmino brings. When he's at his best, and even when he's not at his best, his work ethic is tremendous. But we are in a cutthroat business there, Connor. We are trying to challenge for the Premier League title. We cannot afford any mistakes, really. When do we start trying to shake things up?
I'm not really sure when, but I don't think it's too harsh. It's never a bad thing to have competition. I think if you took Firmino out for a game and put Sturridge in, it just could give him a kick up the arse to let him know that there are replacements there and he has to keep up the performances, stay in the team.
Anything to do with the formation, by the way? I see, the way we've set up, Salah is basically our attacker. Salah is our centre forward. I don't really care what way people are talking about the team selection, the way we're setting up. For me, Salah is the striker and he has been the furthest man forward and the furthest man left forward. So that means Bobby Firmino's having to play that little bit deeper. Is he less effective there? Am I clutching at straws again here?
I'm not really one to take no tactics that way, to be honest, but it could well be something like that.
Facility Time said we need to revert back to a flat 4-3-3.
Is that not what we play usually anyway?
It's tough to say. Sometimes, yes, on paper we can look at it and go 4-3-3, but sometimes it realistically is a 4-2-3-1.
Yeah, the commentators were talking today actually. What was it? The game against Red Star, Fabinho was playing. We played 4-2-3-1 then because of he was playing, I think, because that's like his preferred system. And today we were playing 4-3-3, and like you don't see the difference in like how he played between those two games. Like so maybe once he settles into it, or if we change back to our formation, it's just options like and it's really interesting to think like because even with formations, it's never like the way we play is so fluid anyway. Like if we have four attackers, they're never going to be a right wing, a left wing. They're all just moving around anyway. Like it's like his formation kind of relevant to a point.
Even at that, I think we're less fluid than we used to be with regard to players drifting over the field. Mo Salah basically takes up the right hand side of the field. It's very rare now you're going to see Sadio Mane on the right hand side of the field. I think Mane left, Salah right is pretty in stone, and they aren't really mixing it up as much as they used to. Again, if this is happening, then it's clearly because it's what Jurgen Klopp has told them to do. It's tough for the manager, and it's tough for us as fans because we want the best of both worlds. We want the best defence in the league, we want the best attack in the league, the toughest midfielders, the most creative. But unfortunately, Connor, there isn't really a system in the world that allows that to happen time and time again. Even with Pep Guardiola's system at Manchester City, they can be vulnerable in certain ways. We know only too well how we can set up to beat that Manchester City team. So Pep Guardiola showed Jurgen Klopp the height of respect recently when they came to Anfield, and they completely changed the way they played to try and get out there with a point.
Yeah, like it's just like you say, the horses for courses and all that. Like it's just different players, different games, different formations. It's never bad to have options in it.
Jay said, Bobby seems to be deeper, potentially to supplement the lack of midfield creativity. Salah seemingly the striker. It's all affecting the fluidity higher up the field. I think that's pretty much where you were going as well, Connor, a couple of minutes ago. That fluidity just isn't there, as Jace has rightly said. Salah being a little bit further ahead. Yeah, I agree. I agree with what Jay says. It's so hard for us to convey our feelings as fans because we don't know the instructions the players have received. All we know is the players that are on the field, a rough formation that we think they're going to play. Other than that, we don't really have any insight into what Klopp has said to them. Kick up the ass is needed from time to time. If we don't use the squad, we as fans will start to lose confidence in the squad players. What has Shaqiri got to do to start? I don't know is the honest answer to that. Connor, what has Shaqiri got to do to start? Do you think Klopp just doesn't trust him yet to play in the big games? Do you think he still sees him settling in and he's still trying to use him as an impact sub? I honestly don't know.
It's a tricky one, isn't it? Like I can see why today, because maybe he just wanted a bit more stability in midfield. But like, I'd expect him to start a few next games, because we have like Red Star, Fulham, Watford, Everton, all them small teams like.
Little sly dig there. Little sly dig. Little kick at Everton. Just have to highlight that one. I've seen somebody's talking about. We're talking about the Champions League being kind of thrown away and this European Super League, and somebody put a vote up on Twitter saying, "Do you think if the European Super League starts, Spurs will be the fifth English team?" And I was already thinking, well, no, because they've been clearly fucking told already that they weren't. The five teams that were supposed to be there were Arsenal, Liverpool, Manchester City, United and Chelsea. So no, Spurs are too small of a club. I don't really know where to go with this, guys, before we finish up tonight. We could have a look ahead to the game. I don't really want to get too stuck up on today's result because it is what it is. I want to analyse the game in more detail before I really come on and give an assessment of it. So it'll probably be tomorrow before you get the best out of me on this one. Late night for me tonight. I'm still playing catch up. As I said, I was out with the missus. Great night of Kevin Bridges. That man is fucking hilarious, by the way. Our fifth time seeing him. It just keeps getting better and better. I have to say, usually when a comic gets big, I find they lose that edginess. They lose that kind of link with the people. The common touch, if you want to say. But fuck me, he's funny. He really is hilarious. Connor, anybody but Van Dijk for you for man of the match tonight?
The only other person is Milner, just for the goal, really. But like Van Dijk was just miles ahead of everyone, I think.
I'm delighted that I actually got the team right. I think it's the first time this season that's happened. All week I've been given out the team I think is going to take the field, and I think first time this season I actually got it right. Shame the result didn't go our way, so my team looks like it was absolute dog shit in selection, but I was happy, if I'm being honest, to see Joe Gomez left at centre back.
Yeah, he had a decent game today as well, to be fair. But I think Lovren was injured today. He wasn't in the squad at all. He got like a hamstring injury in training or something.
Interesting.
Or some sort of
Interesting to see if that would have affected Klopp's thinking. I'd like to think it wouldn't. Somebody else said Trent was at fault today. Can you fill me in on this a little bit? As I said, I'm still playing catch up.
I think people did. I think he kind of drifted forward for Lacazette's goal, did he? Or something like that, or he had drifted out too wide and left a bit of space. He wasn't great today anyway, to be honest. He's misplaced a lot of passes and just wasn't as good as he usually is.
Lallana is Klopp's neighbour, says Facility Time. He most certainly is. If we pressed like we used to, we would have smashed them tonight, said SMC, or SMAC, I think. We would have. That's fair. The gegenpress has absolutely fallen away. Obviously intentionally. Klopp must fear that we just can't keep up that level of intensity. It is, I don't know guys, I'm fucking confused at this moment in time. I can't even try and figure out what way we're trying to set up and play. I just don't know. I keep tuning in every week to watch the games and expecting to see some glimpses of the Champions League Liverpool of last season. Some glimpse of that burst of energy for 15-20 minutes. Some glimpse of us being able to turn on the style and swagger. We haven't really seen any of it this season. And are we going to see any of it? I don't know. Is the way we're winning and grinding out games and scoring a couple of goals a game, is that going to be, Connor, what we see this season? Has Klopp played a different hand? I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm grasping at straws here like everybody else.
I suppose time will tell. Or could be something like I said earlier, if we have a different style of play for the second half of the season, like not to burn out before like the run in, I suppose.
Lambeg loyalists say, I'm getting frustrated. Manchester City play 2 attacking midfielders in both the Silvas. We play 3 DMs basically.
We don't.
You know what? That's a fair point. That is a fair point. We sort of are playing 3 DMs. I know people can say, oh well, Wijnaldum can play in a 10, and he can, but when he's been utilised at Liverpool, it's been as a central midfielder a lot. So yes, I understand his frustration. I understand why people would have wanted Shaqiri to play in the hole today or in the deeper line midfield position, but I've no answers for you. That's the honest answer. I agree. I agree that I would like us to be a bit more arrogant, but again, Klopp can only go with the players that's at his disposal. So we don't have 2 Silvas in there. We don't have a Bernardo Silva and a David Silva to play that way, Connor.
That's the point. That's it. Like, do you think if Henderson was fit, would Shaqiri start today? If like Klopp had 2 defensive midfielders lined up, like him and Fabinho, just to like shore up the midfield?
I don't know. I don't know if we would have seen a straight swap there between Fabinho and Henderson, or if we might have seen, as you said, a double pivot in the defensive midfield position with Henderson and Fabinho, and then Shaqiri given a little bit of licence ahead of them. I guess, well, obviously we'll never know, but we might know as the season progresses and Klopp has them both at his disposal. And another thing we can't forget about here, guys, is, and I think we've all forgot about him to some extent in our conversations, is Naby Keita. He's still got to come back into this team as well. And one thing we've said about Naby Keita when we've watched him this season is that he's very good at breaking forward and he's very good at making those runs into the box. So we'll have that to look forward to as well, Connor.
Yeah, everyone seems to forget about him. It's mad after like all the hype for a full year to wait for him, and then he gets injured and everyone forgets about him.
And I include myself in that bracket. I actually pulled myself up on it the other day. I said, do you know what? I completely fucking forgot about Naby Keita. He's a massive player to have coming back into that midfield, and somebody who can play like Junior Wijnaldum almost anywhere throughout the midfield trio. Is it perhaps people are a little bit disappointed that they haven't seen the best of him yet? Maybe that's why we're not hearing him so much mentioned in people's teams.
Yeah, it's interesting.
we've got to give him the entire season before we judge him. We can't judge a player who's just come into the league like that. as much as we were all excited about his arrival, me probably top of the tree, talking him up a lot, I think we have to give him a full season before we can judge what he's done in the Premier League. Salah's best trait last season was his calmness in front of goal. This season he's trying to force it at times. He kind of reminds me. It reminds me of Dejan Lovren. We used to say about Degsy Lovren, if he has time to think, that's when he's fucked up. But if he does things instinctively, he acts better. And sometimes I feel that's the way with Salah.
Yeah, the few times today he got the ball and started dribbling, he just like, shoot. He's just like, he just keeps taking more touches and just loses the ball in the end. Like,
yeah,
it's frustrating to look at.
A lot of times this season I've seen him, and in games when he's so tightly marked as well, his chances have been limited, but I've seen him do exactly what you're talking about. 20-25 yards out, he's got the ball onto his left foot. There may be 4 or 5 yards ahead of him before the next opposing player comes to close him down. He has a chance to swing it with his left foot, but as you said, he takes another touch and then the chance fizzles out. I've definitely remember a few of those this season.
Yeah, it's frustrating as fuck to look at.
It is, and
it's not just him though. I think it's the whole team tends to do that at times.
Yeah, we were just spoiled last year. We were spoiled with what he was doing with that wonderful left foot. That goal he scored against Alisson in the Champions League semi-final, right into the far corner. You couldn't have placed it anymore between the top corner or between the crossbar and the post. It was inch perfect. So yeah, I think his confidence is clearly down. A lot of people want to talk about Mane as well. I've seen a few people in the comments talk about Mane's contract situation. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I don't know why I feel a little bit deflated today when the analytical part of my brain knows damn well that where we are at this moment in time is absolutely fine. The points total that we have is fine.
Top of the league.
Yeah, exactly. It just, I don't know. It's a weird feeling, and I can't describe the way I'm feeling. I'm probably not articulating myself very well on this stream at all, but it is just, I don't know if other people are influencing my thought process too much, Connor, if I'm being dragged down by the naysayers.
Yeah, it's easy to get that happening, isn't it?
Yeah,
just stay positive. Like, we've had a brilliant start, and I'm sure it'll all come together in a few weeks' time.
Lambeg Lloyd has said, still no super chat. Don't, mate. That wound is too fresh. Yeah, we spoke about this yesterday. Well, I spoke about it, Connor wasn't on the stream. YouTube, in their infinite wisdom, have once again refused us monetization or a partnership program. So what do they call it, Connor? Is it a partnership program?
I think it's monetization. I think we are a partner. I don't know what that is exactly, but then monetization, just we haven't made a proof for that.
Yeah, that's so they keep saying no to us, basically, Lambeg Loyalists. They keep saying that we're breaking a rule, that we don't know what that rule is. Well, we know what the name of the rule is, but we just don't know how the fuck we're breaking it. Which is very frustrating, Connor. We keep saying time and time again, we want to play by the rules. So if we knew what we're doing wrong, we would most certainly alter it. Yeah,
like, we always make a point of not showing anything. Like, the amount of comments that you get saying, oh, turn your laptop around so we can see the TV. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and then as you said, look, we don't want to complain about other people, because whatever other people are getting away with is their own business. It's just a little bit frustrating for us. I think when fully fit, Oxlade-Chamberlain, Lallana and Shaqiri should always be one of the midfield three. No need for three of the same type of central midfielders. Mr. RJC says, I'm okay with it because I feel we could have lost today. Arsenal played better than I thought. I thought we'd win 4-1. And do you know what? That's a very fair point. We haven't given Arsenal much credit at all here, Connor, tonight. They went out and they were probably a little bit better than I was expecting as well.
Yeah, I say I thought they were fantastic tonight. I was blown away by them, to be honest. Like, it's such a difference between them last year and this year. Like, just a difference in, like, even the squad isn't even that different. It's just the manager. It's just a whole new mentality and mindset. It's fair play to them, like, for hitting it.
I thought we were going to force them into numerous errors today, playing out from the back, but they were fairly calm. And they played out from the back quite well. They stuck to their guns. Fair play to them. I mean, let's see how the season progresses for them. We couldn't tear them a new asshole today. People have said, Paul Merson as well, in his fucking infinite wisdom, what a gobshite he is. He said that Arsenal are very, very lucky to have gone through this streak unbeaten, that they should have been beaten a couple of times. We couldn't do it today, and you got to give Arsenal credit for that. We're a Liverpool fan channel. We're on here talking about Liverpool, but we try to be respectful of other teams, unlike some of these other pricks that are on there crying about Liverpool's fucking saying Arsenal were robbed, or United fans talking down Liverpool. We try to be fair on here, and Arsenal played well today. They've got two of the best strikers in the business, Connor, and Lacazette and Aubameyang, and it'll be interesting to see how their season progresses.
Yeah, very interested to see. They should do well. I'd rather them finish fourth than United or Spurs. Like,
Unai Emery has proven me wrong as well. I didn't really rate Unai Emery that highly as a manager, and that may shock a lot of people because what he did at Sevilla was excellent. I mean, they basically owned the Europa League at one point. They were winning it so often. It's hard to rate his time at Paris Saint-Germain because you and me could win the league with Paris Saint-Germain. So unless you win the Champions League there, it's a failure.
the whole thing of the Europa League, though, is that not kind of the sign of failure, to be honest? Because like they win the Europa League, get into the Champions League, failing that, go back into the Europa League and win it. It's not sort of a win-lose situation.
I'm just trying to think back to every time he won that Europa League, did they automatically get qualification? I know he did on one occasion. I don't know if it's always been that way. I know the rule changed, but I can't remember when.
I think they were in every year. They just got third in the group every year.
Yeah, well there you go. That's a fair point as well. We can't just ignore that. Getting too much draws, we're getting too many draws. It's not going to help us win the title unless some Liverpool players are in weird form. I have no idea what you're trying to say there, mate. Honest to God.
It's only drew against good teams, though. We haven't lost points at Huddersfield or Cardiff or anyone, like you said earlier.
True. Not being dismissive there, Shallow TG. I honestly just couldn't. Maybe I just misread your comment. Subi said, sorry I'm late. Great to have you with us, Subi. On this one, so we've played Manchester City, we've played Arsenal, we've played Spurs, we played Chelsea, and we've got 3 draws and a win. So what's that? 6 points from a possible 12. We would have been better off losing 1 and winning 3 if you look at it that way.
Yeah, that's a different way of looking at it.
It's weird, because we are saying we're unbeaten, and we're saying that we've done well in all games, but from a purely, I suppose it would have impacted on the other teams as well, because whichever team would have beaten us, they would have stolen marks on us with regards to points. So there is an impact in that sense, but 6 points from 12 doesn't sound great, does it?
No, but then when you see that it was like 21 out of 21 or whatever it was, what did we get? Yeah, 21 out of 21. That sounds great. So
yeah, I think what's important to stress here is that any points that we have dropped this season have been dropped against top level sides.
Yeah, who do we draw against? City, Chelsea and Arsenal. Like they're all bad teams. Like
exactly, we're beating everybody who we expect to beat. We're beating the Leicester Cities of this world. We're beating the Fulhams of this world. The Crystal Palaces. I'm not even know if we played all these teams. I'm just naming off what we would consider lower level teams that we should be beating. So we're doing what we should be doing. We're performing okay in the big games against the big teams. There isn't really much else we can do. It's just a fucking frustrating time being in a league with Manchester City at the minute, isn't it?
Yeah, shame we're not in like the French league or something.
It is true, and I'm very interested to see how this whole stuff about corruption pans out. I have a feeling nothing will happen with it, or something really fucking silly like a fine or a threat or something along those lines. I hope it's investigated properly. I hope it's not investigated by football. I hope it's taken out of football's hands and it's investigated by somebody else.
Yeah, I'd love to see like 40-point deduction and relegation and 100 million fines and everything.
Well,
it's going to
it
be like
would be good for, and I don't want to point fingers at Manchester City here because the Paris Saint-Germain could be worse, I don't know. But it would be good to see somebody have the balls to go and just ban them from European competition for, I don't know how many years. Let's just say 3 years. Completely ban them for European competition for 3 years. And then the FAs, their own particular FAs, punishing them as well if they feel like they need to relegate them or whatever. That's a different scenario if they broke the rules of the Premier Leagues as well. But it's not going to happen. We know it's not going to happen. They should by rights if they've broken the rules.
I seen some the other day. Red Star Belgrade, they got banned from European competitions for a year for going 8 million over the FFP, which is about £2.6 billion less than PSG Man City did.
Well, there's talk that Manchester City as well hid 30 million from the investigators. That they just blatantly hid it. Like, again, I have to say that's talk. I don't know the ins and outs of this. I'm just reading the headlines from articles that have gone out there from publications online. That's ridiculous. If it's true, 30 million is ridiculous.
It is ridiculous, isn't it?
Like, it's easy for us to sit here and say, 30 million in football isn't too much, but from an accounting point of view, or from a hiding it from the tax man or whatever, £30 million is a lot of fucking money to be make disappear or to hide it somewhere else.
Yeah, you don't really think about that, don't you know?
No, we're just numb to it. We're absolutely numb to that amount of money because we see players being bought for 100 million, 250 million. It's just 30 to us. That's the way we look at it. We don't really think of the million part anymore. We just think of the number, the 30 or the 25, the 50. Well, that's what I do anyway.
Yeah, you think 30 million, you think not much, but then like if I handed you £1,000 in cash, you think it's a lot of money, like.
Exactly.
You think how much more that's like.
And even to a regular business, 30 million quid is a lot of fucking money. You ask any CEO of any business, even Apple, if they'd like to just start writing out checks for 30 million quid. It's a lot of money in anybody's business, so I'm very interested to see how this goes. What I don't like and what pisses me off a lot is, on a couple of occasions we've seen, like with AC Milan, we've seen UEFA or FIFA, was it UEFA? With AC Milan? We see them being banned from European competition, and then they go to the Court of Arbitration for Sport and they overturn the decision, and it kind of makes what UEFA have done toothless. What's the point in undermining the entire system if clubs can then go, I understand why the appeals process is there for blatantly unfair decisions, but it seems a lot of the time technicalities are overturning these things and not what's right and what's wrong.
Yeah, you wouldn't even know what them, like, if they're bribing them as well to find these technicalities. I think just cancel all these fines and restrictions and regulations and everything, like.
I was so shocked when I seen the name Nicolas Sarkozy on that list. Like,
yeah,
whatever
how was he involved?
I don't know. I don't know the ins and outs of it. Like, whatever about
was he not the president of France? Like, how the fuck did he get involved?
Exactly. So we're talking about this going past football. We're talking about this going to a political level, and we've often heard FIFA or UEFA say that they don't want sport and politics to mix. That football should be distant from politics. They talk about the poppies. They talk about Pep Guardiola and that he shouldn't be allowed to wear his Catalan independence badge, and so many other things. They say they want the two kept separate and that governments have no right to interfere in football and sport. We hear that with every sport all over the world, and then you hear things like this and you know that there is government interference. Or for a World Cup to be held in a country, well, let's just use Russia as an example. When the World Cup is going to be held in Russia, no matter what happens, and I'm not picking out Russia here, I'm just using them because they were the last one, there has to be involvement. The heads of the country, the Russian president or the American president or whoever it is, they have to get involved with FIFA because you're talking such large sums of money, such a massive investment from the countries in these, that the two are going to be intertwined. So again, hypocritical.
Yes, within the country of Qatar basically buy Neymar for PSG or something stupid like that.
Well, it's alleged that that's what they've done, and they've basically said that they've hired him to be a brand ambassador for Qatar for the World Cup or something like that. That a good portion of. Pardon?
Even them getting the World Cup, like.
That's
Qatar,
ridiculous. That's just ridiculous. Not only did they get the World Cup, mate, they got the World Cup and then moved the fucking goalposts. They got a World Cup that they were promising air-conditioned stadiums in the summer to a World Cup with no air-conditioned stadiums in the winter.
Fucking up all the domestic leagues.
It's crazy. Anyway, just on that, to finish up, it is very scary to think that you're talking about people at the level of Nicolas Sarkozy here, whatever about Gianni Infantino, or whatever about a fucking French guy. It slipped my mind already. How can I forget who the fuck I'm trying to talk? Platini, sorry, yes. Whatever about Platini or Gianni Infantino, they're involved in the game, but when you hear Nicolas Sarkozy, or you hear some of the alleged conversations that have happened between heads of countries or heads of states and FIFA UEFA. It's sickening. The game is corrupt. I don't care what's found out. We all know it doesn't take a genius to figure it out. The game is corrupt. Nobody gives a fuck about the fans anymore. It's disgusting. We're fighting a losing battle on this one, I think, but something does need to be done. We'd hoped that when Gianni Infantino came in, he was going to clean up the mess, but maybe he was part of the fucking mess as well, Connor.
No doubt he probably was, yeah.
Anyway, guys, look, on that one, I think we'll probably call it a night there because we're going off topic here. We're going from talking about Arsenal into Gianni Infantino and UEFA. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Apologies it was such a late one tonight. Apologies it was so vague, but as I've said, I haven't had a chance to really dissect the game yet. I was out with the wife tonight, so thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to Connor for coming on. It's an absolute pleasure chatting to Connor again. It's been a while. Look, guys, I'll be back tomorrow with the Late Night Agenda at 10 o'clock as always. I hope to see you all then. Don't get too disheartened. A point isn't the end of the world. We are still doing really well. We've got a great points total. Still unbeaten. One of 3 teams unbeaten in the Premier League. Just that in itself, Connor, lets you know, uttering that phrase, 11 games in and one of 3 unbeaten teams, lets you know what we're up against. You there? Oh, I think Connor's gone, guys. Oh, you are there, are you?
What you say? Call it there for a sec.
No, I was saying that, not to get too disheartened, everybody, that 11 games into the season, saying the words, we're still one of 3 unbeaten teams, lets you know exactly how hard it is this season.
That's it, like, it's ridiculous. Like, just think back to, like I said earlier, Leicester win, there was 76, and now that'll probably get you 4th place this season, I'll push.
Yeah, it's mad. Guys, look, the Reds are doing okay. Let's see how the season pans out. Don't get disheartened. Don't let social media get you down. Come on here and be positive with us. We'll try our best to keep you in good form. Talk to you guys tomorrow. Until then, again, thanks for joining us, and up the motherfucking